Live from Town Square Towers at the heart of the Jersey Shore. Wake up with Jeremy Graden. Get up, get out, do something. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back. Greetings from the beautiful New Jersey Shore. I'm Ken Malagier, local small business owner, in for your friend Jeremy Grunin. You are listening to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, streaming live at WOBMAM.com, 1160 and 1310 on your radio AM dial, and live on the Radio Pup app at 1160 News Talk Radio. We are broadcasting from the beautiful Town Square Media Tower in downtown Toms River. A proponent of American music, Mr. Lagruth is one of the co-founders of the American Symphony Orchestra League's commissioning project, Ford Made in America. Noted by his colleagues for his rapport with audiences, Mr. Lagruth builds relationships with his listeners through many outreach programs and his popular pre-concert discussions, Musically Speaking. An honors graduate of Ithaca College, Mr. Lagruth earned a master's degree in orchestral conducting and a bachelor degree in composition. He attended the world-renowned Pierre Monteux School for Conductors, where he was a conducting fellow under the tutelage of Charles Brooke and Michael Jimbo. Mr. Lagruth has enjoyed a close association with the Pierre Monteux School and has served on the staff of that institution. He serves as an adjunct faculty member of both Georgian Court University and Ocean County College. Mr. Lagruth is a member of the board of directors of the Conductors Guild, a national service organization for conductors, and currently serves as the artistic director and conductor of the Garden State Philharmonic. We are very pleased that this and more brings Mr. Lagruth to our show today. Good morning, Maestro.
Good morning, Ken. How are you today?
Excellent. Thank you for waking up with us. I know a conductor's life can maybe sometimes lead to later nights, so thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. It's a beautiful morning, and we'll chit-chat a little bit, and then I'm going to go find a golf course. How's that sound?
That sounds like my Tuesday. Excellent.
There you
Wonderful.
go.
Wonderful. Anthony, when did you first know that you would like to dedicate your life to music?
Wow, my life to music. It was a toss-up, Ken. When I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of music going on in the house. You know, my dad was a drummer for an old rock and roll band called Joey D and the Starlighters. Some people might remember their song, The Peppermint Twist.
Right.
He always wanted me to be involved with music, and when I was about in the fourth grade, I guess it was, I started playing the violin, which I did not like very much at the time, and switched the following year to the trumpet, and I played it, all through school, and also played hockey. But when I got into high school, I guess would be when it was really obvious that I had developed a real deep love for music of all kinds, and decided to pursue it in my college career.
So of all kinds. So then what led to classical and orchestral as your muse?
There's just something about the great music of an orchestra. First of all, when you hear a full symphony orchestra playing, there's so many colors, so many sounds, so many nuances that a composer can create. You know, from the most subtle and gentle sounds to the most earth-shattering and spine-tingling sounds. And it's all done without electronics. It's all done without amplification. And there's just when you're in a hall with a real live symphony orchestra, there's nothing that I think that can compare. Secondly, it's the music itself. You know, I love Bruce Springsteen. I love The Doors. When I was a kid, I even liked Kiss and went to Kiss concerts.
Right.
But there's only so much you can do with a 3-minute pop song. And its forced format of verse and refrain. You know, I want to rock and roll all night and party every day. Okay, I got it. I don't need to hear that for the next 10 minutes. I understand, and I don't disagree. But, you know, when Beethoven sits down and speaks to us through his symphonies, you know, it's 40 minutes of continuous emotional journey. And that's really, it's more like sitting down and listening to the Dark Side of the Moon or The Wall by Pink Floyd, you know, these concept albums that are not meant to have individual pop tunes on them, but, you know, are delivering a message, a story.
So how do we take that to the now 21st century audience. So we're not accustomed to this day and age being immersed in a 40-minute piece. How do we appeal to either newer generations or bring this art form to newer generations and show them that this is an experience, part of the human experience? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, when I was a kid, my father used to tell me all the time, behave. But other than that, he would often say, be curious, Anthony. Go out there and see what there is in the world. And that's something that stayed with me. I've tried a lot of things in my life that I would never think that to do again, but I don't say I don't like something until I've done it. And then I have the experience and I can say, well, that doesn't appeal to me, or I didn't like the taste of that food. And I just think that by and large, people are less willing to be curious. I like this, I like that, and they're not willing to explore, or not open enough, I should say, to explore beyond the borders and see what else there is in the world. I mean, you can love Nicki Minaj, doesn't mean you don't like Mozart.
Right, and we do fall. I find you're absolutely right. We fall into this trapping of our own condition. So we want sameness in our life. We want more routine and less experimenting. But really, that is what drives even understanding and knowledge and education and experiences is going to concerts of an art form that's been with us for so long, but continues to bring new emotion to the table. Would you agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not just concerts, I would say, read a book that was written 100 years ago. Go to a museum. See paintings, see sculptures. There's just so much in the world out there, and you don't know what may inspire you or touch you or even make you laugh until you've experienced it. Right.
Speaking of experiences, tell us a little bit more about your experience at the Pierre Monteux School for Conducting.
Well, it was extremely formative. For your listeners who may not know, Pierre Monteux was a very, very famous conductor from France, who was born in the late half of the 1800s, 1880, I believe it was, and he lived until 1965. He became a U.S. citizen in 1940 and lived in a tiny little burg up in Maine called Hancock with his third wife, Doris. And Pierre always loved to teach young conductors. And his very first student in Paris in 1927 was a man named Charles Brook. Charles Brook took over the school after Monteux died. And I went there in 1989 and returned there many, many times. The experience was amazing. I learned more in the first 6 weeks of the summer festival that I was there than I learned in the entire 4 years of my undergraduate college career.
Wow.
About how to make music, about what music is and what music means.
Is it total immersion?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, It's 4.5 to 5 hours of rehearsal, 6 days a week, and 5 days a week. 2 of those days have an additional 3 hours of rehearsal in the evening, and then you have a concert on the 6th day, and then you get a day off to sort of recoup. But it's all music all the time, and then the beautiful Maine coast and cheap lobster.
Which doesn't hurt at all, which makes it even
a little... It was not a bad place to spend summers, let me tell you.
Right. And when we come back in our next segment, we want to touch on music in our lives and what makes it so important to the world and why now more than ever, perhaps it's something that we need a little bit more of in our lives. I also want to touch on the Garden State Philharmonic. You have the pleasure of being the artistic director and conductor. So all of this, when we come back in our next segment, we have live on the line Maestro Anthony Lagruth, currently the artistic director and conductor of the Garden State Philharmonic. We'll be back right after this.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back. Thanks for sharing your morning with us. On the line, we have Maestro Anthony Lagruth. Join our conversation at 732-505-1160. American conductor Anthony Lagruth has delighted audiences and critics alike with many exciting performances recognized for their innovative presentation of orchestral music. Mr. Lagruth serves as an adjunct faculty member of both Georgian Court University and Ocean County College and is a member of the board of directors of the Conductors Guild, a national service organization for conductors. We're pleased that this and more brings Anthony on the line with us this morning. Anthony, we spend the first half hour of our program here discussing some of the most pressing local, national, world events. In light of where we are today as a society, why music? What makes music so important in a world where there arguably is so many other obvious callings for our collective attention?
It's a great question, Ken, and I'm not sure that I have the best answer, but I recall 9/11 very clearly. As you know, I live in northern Jersey, and at the time I was living in Weehawken, and I could see those towers every day, and then they're gone. I was a part of the search and rescue. I volunteered down at Ground Zero for about 10 days. And when it was over, my experience being there, when it was over, was right around the time that the city was trying to get back on its feet and return to some sense of normalcy. And the American Symphony Orchestra League, which is a national organization that supports symphony orchestras, was looking around at what was going on, and there was a huge uptick in the attendance of concerts of the classical nature in New York City in those days and weeks following 9/11. The New York Philharmonic changed their programs and presented the Brahms Requiem, which is a choral orchestral work that is in celebration of departed souls. New works were created that were inspired by the tragic events, including an amazingly powerful piece by a composer named John Adams called On the Transmigration of Souls. People look to music, I think, consciously and unconsciously in difficult times. It is, through the experience of artists, whether it's, Brahms or Pitbull, these experiences of these artists that they experienced and put forth these pieces of music, and the depth of which they're able to translate those experiences as the way in which they connect with us, and that is an opportunity to hear great music like that is a way to help understand even other cultures. For instance, right now I'm working in New York on an opera by the great Italian composer Puccini. We're doing Madame Butterfly. And why is an opera written by an Italian about an American and a Japanese geisha prior to World War II? Where is the relevance of that today? Well, the story itself is timeless. It's a tragic love story. It's about innocence and innocence lost. But the real key to me, the thing that I've been focusing on vis-a-vis our modern situation, is that it's about a misunderstanding of cultures.
Right.
And, by experiencing or looking at a piece of art like that, you might be able to pick up something that might help you understand the world in which you live today.
It does have a tremendous quality of being that great equalizer and that great communicator. Music.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's proven. It's endured the test of time.
Sure.
That very little else in our entertainment industry has. I'm not talking about even Gone with the Wind celebrated its 75th birthday. Mozart is getting close to 300 years old and going strong.
Right. Right.
I'd like to have his genes.
And to hear you more locally, Anthony, you are currently the artistic director of the Garden State Philharmonic, and we want to touch on that more when we come back from our next short break. But the Garden State Philharmonic performs in Ocean County at the J. and Linda Grunin Center for the Arts, as well as at the Historic Strand Theater. And frankly, anywhere they'll have you. Is that correct, sir?
That's pretty true. That's
Excellent.
pretty true. We love to play for the people.
Wonderful. We're going to have a lot more when we come back with Maestro Anthony Lagruth.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Ken Malagier in for Jeremy Grunin. You are listening to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, streaming live at WOBMAM.com, 1160 and 1310 on your radio AM dial, and live on the radio Pup app at 1160 News Talk Radio. Noted by his colleagues for his rapport with audiences, Mr. Lagruth builds relationships with his listeners through many outreach programs and his popular pre-concert discussions, musically speaking. He is a recipient of the Monmouth Ocean County Development Council's MODC Silver Gull Award for Tourism. Anthony, what impact does the Garden State Philharmonic have in our community?
Well, Ken, I think what it does is it provides residents an opportunity to experience high-quality live music without having to go over a bridge or through a tunnel. The Philharmonic was founded 61 years ago by local residents, including Bud Lamel and Mac Adler, gentlemen who loved the art of music. In Mac's case, he played. He was an oboe player. And they realized that there was nothing going on culturally in Ocean County. And they formed a community orchestra, which was made up of friends and neighbors and like-minded people who just enjoyed playing. And then they started giving concerts. And that steamrolled 60 years later to in 2000. The orchestra became a fully professional symphony orchestra. You're hearing great talent locally presenting the world's greatest music in a wide variety. And we allow people to come and shake off the dust of an ordinary day. We every day we get up, some of us not as early as Jeremy does, but, every day we get up and we go forth and we there's a certain amount of sameness in our lives, a certain amount of routine. You get up, you go to work, you put in your 8 hours or more, you come home, you take care of the house, you feed the kids, you walk the dog, you go to bed and you get up and you do it again. Experiencing music allows you for a moment to go someplace else, even if it's only in your imagination. I like to think of some of the great music as being theater of the mind.
Certainly is. And some of our listening audience may not have realized that they were at a Garden State Philharmonic concert. There are several times a year where the Philharmonic performs free concerts for our community, not least of all July the 3rd. We just had our Concert for America, and there were over 1,100 people in the audience there. That was outside of the Toms River branch of the Ocean County Library. What can we expect from this year's program, Maestro?
I think you can expect a lot of high-powered music performed by a great orchestra. I have always tried to present a wide array of opportunities of different kinds of music, and we're continuing that tradition this year. Our first performance we're calling Sousa Palooza, which is
should be a real toe tapper, right? Absolutely.
It's going to be. Yeah, John Philip Sousa used to tour the country with his band, and he presented great classical pieces of music alongside more popular and traditional fare. So he gave the audience everything, from soup to nuts. And we're going to try that kind of a mix on this opening concert. And then in October, we're presenting Fright Night at the Phil. In anticipation of Halloween and Toms River's great Halloween Day Parade, we're going to present an evening of scary music. And then that brings us into the holidays. And we have a performance of Handel's Messiah with the Hallelujah Chorus. And we're partnering once again with the Atlantic City Ballet to do the Nutcracker, which will be performed at the Strand. So there's quite a lot on tap from the fall into the winter at the Philharmonic.
That is tremendous. And, of course, our listeners can find out more at GardenStatePhilharmonic.org. Anthony, what were some of your most memorable performances or moments in your career to date?
Probably the first one that jumps out was my very first international performance, which took place in, of all places, Cluj, Romania. I was picked to be a cultural ambassador, and I went to Romania shortly after 9/11, in the following February, as a matter of fact, and conducted in 4 different cities in Romania, and they all asked to have American music. Now, the Romanian orchestras are pretty good. They play a full season. In other words, they play probably 40 weeks out of the year.
Wow.
So they have a lot of experience playing together, even in these small towns. Cluj is a town that was probably maybe 300,000 people. They had symphony concerts every week. And they get a decent audience at all the performances. But they are steeped in the old school tradition, the European tradition, as one would expect, being in the heart of Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. And they played everything like it was Brahms. So when I brought them Aaron Copland's four dance episodes from Rodeo, from his ballet, which is full of jaunty rhythms and a real sort of American sound,
right.
It took us the better part of 4 rehearsals just to get them into the proper spirit of the work. But when they finally got it, it was like a light bulb went on in their heads, and it was great fun for them. It was great fun for me, and that was a wonderful experience. Locally, a few years ago, we did a performance called The Eagle and the Bear, where we presented great contemporary American music alongside great contemporary Soviet music. And we played the Russian Sergei Prokofiev's suite from his ballet, Romeo and Juliet. And there was just something about that performance. The orchestra played so well, and the audience was so attentive that it was a very powerful and moving event.
So in your professional opinion, and I think maybe perhaps if I could speak for some audiences, people may shy away from the orchestral concert, the live performance, because they're unsure how to act. What are some of the rules that you'd like to share with our listeners out there, or kind of dispel some rumors that might keep people from attending a live orchestral concert?
Be comfortable and have fun. It's not, it's not a rock show, so standing up and singing along is sort of discouraged. But there was a period in music history when people would clap in between every movement of a symphony, and I've read some accounts where they would say that even after a particularly well-played passage, people would clap, which is a lot more like a jazz club or even a rock and roll show is today. But somewhere in the late 1800s, there was sort of if you'll allow me the use of the word, a religiousification, if you will, of music. And it became very serious business. And, you needed to sit in silence, and they started darkening the hall. And you had to, give your complete and undivided attention. Now, of course, if you do that, you're going to experience the music in a certain way. But ultimately, the music is to reach out and touch you. It's to move you. It's
right.
to give you an emotional experience. And it should be a good time. Even if the music is sad, if it brings to your mind nostalgia or melancholy, that's a valuable experience, and it's a valuable emotion. And then you move on to the rip-roaring part of the symphony, which makes you happy. It's all about having a good time and hearing hearing something that is soul stirring,
right,
and it will make you have a good time. That's the goal.
So come out to the Garden State Philharmonic where the conductor encourages you to clap. That would be where
there we go.
Where we'll leave that part.
For me, Ken.
That's right.
For me.
That's right. We have so much more when we come back after this short break with Maestro Anthony Lagruth. We'll see you on the other side.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin, News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back. Ken Malagier in for our friend Jeremy Grunin, joined online with Maestro Anthony Lagruth. Join our conversation at 732-505-1160. A versatile musician, Mr. Lagruth has shown that he is equally at home leading orchestral, operatic, and choral ensembles. He is currently serving as the artistic director and conductor of the Garden State Philharmonic. And Maestro, what are some of the other components of the Garden State Philharmonic in addition to our professional orchestra, which we've spoken of throughout the interview?
Well, we have a community chorus, which is made up of about 50 members of the community currently. People who love to sing. We have all different skill levels. They join the Philharmonic a couple of times a year presenting works. As you know very well, we just finished our celebratory 60th season with a performance of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony, the Ode to Joy. Da, 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 dee, dee, da, dee, da. See, I'm even good enough to sing in the chorus, so anybody should come on down. Feel free to come on down if they like to carry a tune. And they're people, they're your friends and neighbors. They love singing. They come together once a week and rehearse Wednesday evenings from 7:30 to 9:30. You see how I'm working in this commercial?
I see it. And if you are so inclined to join the Garden State Philharmonic Chorus, you can find out more information on that at thegardenstatephilharmonic.org. Is that correct?
That is correct. Indeed it is. And we'd love to hear you, and I'd love to have you join our family. Another component of the Philharmonic family is the youth orchestra, which is the audience of tomorrow. We're building the audiences of tomorrow by teaching young people about playing great music. We supplement the programs that are in the schools. Kids that want to do something more and be involved in music beyond their schools are welcome to come and join us by audition. And we're always on the lookout for that rare talent that may go the next step, and we're there to nurture that. But more importantly, we're exposing children to the great classics, to Tchaikovsky, to Brahms, to Beethoven, and with the idea that when they're older, this music will not be so foreign to them as it is to many people, and they'll make music a part of their lives. Yeah, and one thing about playing an instrument, Ken, or singing in a community chorus, I played hockey when I was in high school. I'm 51 years old now, and I can't play hockey anymore. But, I played the trumpet, for a long time growing up, and I know that for the rest of my life, I'll be able to sit down and pick up that horn and entertain myself, at least, if not others. And that's just not something you can do with most sports activities beyond a certain age.
That's absolutely true, and just exposing young people to more of music and more of the type of music that you're able to lead them in, and that overall knowledge, that discipline can really dovetail beautifully into so many other professions in their lives. I mean, there are innumerable stories of young people who performed in our youth orchestra. I say are because I'm involved with the Garden State Philharmonic, but they've performed in the youth orchestra and have gone on to have tremendous careers in the arts and in finance and at Pixar and you name it. Our young people are throughout the community, and we speak of gun violence in America, and not to keep coming back to the headlines of today, but I can think of fewer, more effective ways to take pistols out of the hands of young people than to put a piccolo in it. And I think that
Ken,
we need to speak to that more.
Absolutely. There's a great jazz saxophone player, I believe his name was Phil Woods, said famously, if you put an instrument in a kid's hands, you can't hold a gun. Mm-hmm. And, giving them something in which they can be proud of, giving them the discipline that it takes to learn an instrument, teaching them teamwork by playing in an ensemble. Everybody has to work together in an orchestra in order for the best results to be achieved. And those are all lessons that are going to serve people well for their entire career.
There really is. And so we would encourage folks, if you are so inclined, to join the community chorus, or if you have a young person in your life that you'd like more information on the Garden State Philharmonic Youth Orchestra, to visit their website at gardenstatephilharmonic.org. And this is the subscription time. Is that correct, Anthony?
It is. We're gearing up for next year, and people are buying tickets already for the coming season. So if you're interested, you should check us out online, as Ken said, www.gardenstatephilharmonic.org. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Excellent. Become a subscriber or a single ticket purchaser. Love to see you at the next Garden State Philharmonic performance, which will be this coming September. Maestro, this has been a true pleasure to have you on with us this morning.
Ken, it's been my pleasure. I hope that the audience is having a great day. It sure is beautiful. When I look out the window, I can't wait to get outside and get some fresh air. It's been a real pleasure to speak with you and your audience.
Likewise. Hit him straight today, Maestro.
Thanks, my friend. Have a great day.
Take care.
Rush Limbaugh today at noon. More Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin coming up next. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.